morning, everyone. My name is Karla, and you have reached my FlossTube channel, KarlaBeingCrafty, where I talk about mostly cross stitch, but also other crafts that I enjoy, and a little bit of life thrown in. Today is FlossTube number 180. It is Sunday, February 26th, so we're at the end of February already. Crazy. I want to say welcome. Thank you so much for stopping by my channel, and if this is your first time coming by, I hope that you like what you see, want to hit like and subscribe and all that good stuff. I do have a super thanks button on the channel down below in case you want to use that for sort of monetary tip, whatever. If this is not your first time coming back, if you are one of my regular viewers, then thank you so much for coming and spending time with me. Today is a bright, sunny, cold day here in Southern California. It makes me laugh because while I was getting ready for my video, I had FlossTube on and I was watching Brenda Handwork Maniac, the video that she put out this week, or I don't know when it came out, if it came out today or yesterday or whatever, but the first thing she said is it's a bright, sunshiny, warm day in the early 50s or the low 50s, which made me laugh because I'm about to come on here and tell you that, you know, the temperature for the last week has been in the low 50s and we're like, I'm freezing. So of course it's all relative. It's been really rainy here, rainy sort of Wednesday, it was gray, but then Thursday, Friday, it was raining. Yesterday, it rained all day. Today, it's nice and sunny, but it's supposed to rain again, I think, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday next week, and we're not going to get out of the 50s until the end of next week. So, yeah, I think the only day last week where I think it was 61 degrees or something was Monday, and then the rest of the week, our highs were in the low 50s, which I know for you guys where you live where it's cold and snow and everything that is nice, warm weather. For us, it's like, that's pretty chilly. We're not used to highs in the 50s. So it's chilly. My second floor apartment is chilly. I have socks on and when I'm not moving around, it starts to get cold and I want to get under the covers. So it's all relative, you know. I mean, today is gorgeous as far as like bright blue skies, and because it was raining all day yesterday, so it, you know, washed all any badness out of the air, and it's all nice and bright. But it's supposed to rain for a good portion of next week as well, so, which is fine. I just don't like driving in the rain. That makes me stressed out. Actually, not so much in the rain, is when there's puddles. That, when it starts flooding, that makes me stressed out because I hate driving through those puddles. So let's see. Zoom next Sunday. Next Zoom is Sunday the 19th at 2 o'clock. All the information is in the box below, so if you can join, please do. I've been really enjoying doing these once a month, and judging by the fact that I always have about 9 people. I wasn't talking to you. Judging by the fact that I'm having about 9-10 people on every week, or every month, I should say. I think everybody else is enjoying it too. So if you can, please join. Last week was a very busy work week. We actually had, my boss had meetings of some kind with clients every single day, which is not really typical for us. I have hair in my mouth, sorry. But, you know, when he is busy like that, that means that I tend to be busy because, you know, meetings generate changes to accounts and paperwork and stuff, and that's my part of the... Okay, I'm just falling apart, you guys. Hairs in my mouth. My necklace falling off. And watch, I'm going to try and put it back on, and it's going to be impossible on camera. Let's see. Oh, I did it. Yay. Okay. There. Okay. So yeah, when the office is busy as far as clients coming in, I tend to be really busy too. Which, you know, makes the day go by faster. That's good. So the work week was busy, and then yesterday, for the first time in literal years, I actually met somebody for lunch. I met Jennifer. She's Stitching Daisy on Instagram. So the situation with Jennifer, and I think I mentioned this last week as well, but when I first started doing FlossTube in 2019, I did it in like the end of June, beginning of July 2019 is when I started, and she had texted me or messaged me on my commented on my videos fairly early on that like, hey, I live in Anaheim too. So she lives fairly close to me, and I was like, that's great, we should get together. And you know, it's one of those things where it kind of never happened. And then towards the end of I think in August 2019, she was like, hey, I have some magazines and stuff for you. And I was like, great, we should get together. But it was like my birthday, I wasn't gonna be home that weekend, and then I was having dental surgery, and it just kind of like, it never happened. And then pandemic. So it really never happened. And she messaged me on Instagram last week, I think, or the week before last, and it was like, and she was like, I still have this box of stuff for you. And I'm like, okay, we really need to get together. So we made it happen yesterday. We went out to lunch to, you know, just reviews. She traded, which was like so nice. Thank you so much, Jennifer. But when we met up, she put this big box of stuff in my car. So when I got home after the lunch, it was too big of a box for me to carry up the stairs by myself. So I knew that I would probably have to like take it in trips. So I took stuff out of it, put it in a bag, carried the bag up, and then I still have a box full of magazines, you know. But I just kind of skimmed through it. There's a lot of like little kits in there and all kinds of little things. In fact, there's so much stuff I'm a little bit overwhelmed. There's like tons of like magazines and leisure arts magazines. A lot of them are from the 80s and early 90s. So I know that some of the stuff in them is dated. There was one that definitely had like the ducks and the lambs with bows and stuff like that, which is very 80s, very dated. But there's a lot of stuff that's actually really cute. And there's like, I know one of them has a Joan Elliott pattern. I mean, those don't ever go out of style. So there's a lot of stuff for me to kind of go through, share with you guys. I mean, and as I said, this is like not even all of it. This is like the bag of stuff that I pulled out of that box. You know, there's some fabric in here, and like I said, there's kits. There's a imaginating, you know, this is a full kit. There's a lot of these kits. Kit, you know, all these kinds of things. So, way more than one person needs. It's not all my style, of course. There's some dimensions like jar topper kits. Those are kind of cute. There's a bunch of these little tiny patterns that come with this little hanger hoop. Several of them are sort of Christian religious, so obviously those aren't something that I would use, so those definitely would be giveaways. Here's a it's called Blessings by Dimensions. I mean, this is super cute for somebody who is a little bit more into religious iconography. Okay, I'm not saying that right. Anyway, that's cute. So all of these things at some point will be maybe giveaways. You know, there's just a lot. Look at little prayer boy. Yeah, so oh, this is cute. We're not just older, we're better. Cute, right? So, and then these are all leaflets and magazines. So yeah, there's just a ton of stuff. Almost I'm like overwhelmed by it all. So I need to go through and like the magazine stuff, need to decide if I'm going to give away the whole magazine or tear it up kind of thing. But it was just so generous of Jennifer to like keep all that stuff for me. So, and then I can now share it with you guys. Yeah, so that was really exciting and sort of a fun, different thing to do that I haven't done in a really long time. You know, meet somebody for lunch. So anyway, stay tuned as far as that goes. I mean, like I said, it's almost, there's so much stuff, it's almost a little overwhelming right now. So I have to kind of organize it and go through, and then I'll be able to kind of dole it out to people who might be interested. But I do really want to give a big thank you, shout out to Jennifer, Stitching Daisy on Instagram. She doesn't have a FlossTube, but you know, she's been stitching, she said, since she was like 14 years old or something. And you know, so she's a FlossTube watcher, so part of our community, and it was just really nice of her to think of me and share all that stuff with me. I think she said originally a lot of the magazines she got from another stitcher, and you can see there's like a name on them. They were, you know, a subscription. You know, so I guess that's what it is. We pass these things along. And, you know, yes, some of them are like dated, but there are hidden gems in some of these older magazines. There are things that are like, wow, that is really cute. It is still relevant today. I mean, maybe not the ducks with bows on them, but there's a lot of things in there that are really cute. So I do have to kind of go through them and find all the hidden gems. There's also like knitting patterns and crochet patterns and stuff in there, which I don't knit or crochet, but some of them are cute. And I mean, again, things go in and out of fashion, but some stuff is just timeless. So, you know, there's that. Okay. I think that's all for like the preamble stuff. I mean, it wasn't that exciting of a week per se, except for, you know, yesterday, but, as far as my stitching crafting, I do have to say my February theme, and of course I'm thinking about the themes now because we're going right into March. What Wednesday is? I think Wednesday is March 1st. Because February is such a short month. So my February theme, Floral Fantasy, should have been Karla being way overly ambitious, because I had so many projects in my February, you know, list, forgetting that it was a short month. I mean, I did get through everything. I stitched on everything at least once. I'm not sure that I'm going to be any better with March. I mean, it's a regular length month, but I looked and I have 10 things. So, I mean, I guess if I stitched, you know, everything, I could stitch everything 3 times, right? With 10 things in a 30-day month. But I don't know if I will, because I might get into something, or there might be days when I don't stitch. I mean, that does happen occasionally. Yeah, so we'll see what happens, you know. I mean, any movement forward is movement forward, right? Anyway, so I didn't do any paper crafting anything this week, and nothing on the journals. I don't have any new finishes to show you, although I did, I didn't get it yet, but this that I did last year, and it has cat hair on it, of course, because I haven't hung it up yet, because it just, I'm unthrilled with my framing on this. It's a very cheap frame, you know, like a Dollar Tree frame, and it just isn't tight in there, and the fabric really needs to be ironed again. I think I have to wet the fabric, because there's lines in here that just don't seem to be coming out. So I thought, I really liked the finish that I did on this Sweet William so much, I thought I would maybe try that for this as well. So I got, it hasn't come yet, but I got another one of those, they're actually poster frames, the magnetic poster frames, in black. And I'm going to try maybe doing it that way, because I think maybe using the same technique to kind of do my edges and put the felt or the velvety stuff on the back will make this stiffer, and I just think it might be a nicer look. And then I'm thinking that I might hang it, so I don't know if you can see, like right behind me, between my kitchen area and my dining area in my studio here, there's that like little piece of wall. It's like about that thick. And it's not, like it feels like it curves, whatever. But I was thinking that that might be a good place that I could hang this kind of hanging, you know, like a wall hanging from. It might look good, you know, kind of almost hanging down like a flag type thing. So I'm thinking about doing that. And then when I get the other ones done in the series, they can go all the way across. So we'll see. But anyway, that might be something that you'll see next week if I get my acting gear and actually do that. So I'm gonna, I think, re-FFO this, because I love the piece. I love it on the moon. I think that's so pretty. I'm just not liking how it's looking in this frame, and it's not tight, and it distracts from the actual coolness of the piece, I think. So I need to redo that. Okay, so stitching this week. I got a wild bug in my ear. And I had this idea that I wanted to have a SAF, a start and finish. And I thought, I picked a thing and I'm like, oh, I can do that. You know, I started it on Sunday and then ended up working on it on Monday and Tuesday and didn't quite finish it. So what was inspiring me at that point was I got this little thing from Kohl's. It was originally $9.99, and then I was ordering something from Kohl's, and I always kind of look in the like clearance, and it was like $2, $3 or $4. It was like really cheap, and I thought it was cute, right? I don't care so much about what it says. I mean, it's cute. There are always flowers for those who want to see them. But I was more thinking that this would be just a perfect little finishing piece for a tiny thing. You know, if it was, this is like 4 inches, like get a 4-inch piece, mount it right on this, and that is really cute. So this has been sitting around, and I wanted to put something in this, and I have my 2 Chatelaines that I worked on, that I did last year, the roses and the violets. Well, there's a third one that kind of is the same, along the same lines, which is Manuela's sunflowers. So that's what I did. And when I'm doing these little pieces like this, I just pull from stash. So I just pull colors. I'm kind of like trying to, when I do that, when I am just pulling to kit up something, I'm trying to use my overdyes, because I haven't been really using overdyes lately. My stitching has progressed into basically my favorite things now. So the things that I'm really starting are, other than like kits, but the things I'm really starting are Fancy Ladies, full coverage, and like Chatelaines. And Chatelaines have their own, you know, you get, at least for me, I'm getting what it calls for the most part. Those types of things I usually get what it calls for. Full coverage are almost always 100% DMC. And the Fancy Ladies are usually almost 100% DMC with like maybe a variegated silk or something thrown in. But they don't use overdyes that much. And I don't have a ton of overdyes, but I do have some. So, you know, I want to use what I have. So I've been trying, when I do little things that need to be kitted up, I'm trying to kind of pull from that stash and use it up, since it's not something I'm using that much anymore. Anyway, so back to Manuela's sunflowers. So I got it, all the regular stitching is done on it. And oh, I went to go pull fabric for it, and this piece of, I think it's Diva, Pictures Plus Diva, just jumped out at me, and I'm like, how cute would all the yellows be on that super bright pink? So that's what I chose. So all of the regular stitching is done. So what's left is Algerian eyelets done with a Kreinik, which I do not like that as a concept. I decided to go with what it said. Oh, sorry, I have a sneeze caught in my nose. Oh. but that is not fun. And I don't think that the Algerian eyelets look as good as they do with regular floss, doing them with a Krynic. But so anyway, those Algerian eyelets need to go all the way around. And then I need to do the beading, which is, you know, in the border, and then there's a little bit in the corners and the very center. So, and then when it is done, let's see if I can kind of fake this a little bit. It will go very nicely in there. I think it's going to be really cute. So, I really wanted this to be like a start and finish. I wanted to come on here and be like, oh, look what I did. I did a start and finish in 1 week, and that didn't quite happen. So I guess hopefully next week I will be saying that, look, it was a start and finish in 2 weeks. But then it doesn't really count that way, right? But anyway, so I spent a couple days working on this, which of course means I didn't stitch on other stuff that day. But that's okay. That is Manuela's Sunflowers Chatelaine. This, oh, by the way, this is one of those charts that originally it was like a free chart. And now when you go on the site, it's like around $5. I mean, it's in euros, I think. So, but it equals that to be very, very close to $5. So, if you're at all interested in Chatelaines, but are intimidated like I was, I really do encourage you to go and like just look at some of those $5 patterns. There's a lot of them. There's like 10 or more probably of the just like $5 patterns. You can get the PDF. You can get used to feeling what it feels like to work off of those PDF patterns. The ones that I've done, the only specialty stitches have been the Algerian eyelets, I think, pretty much. There's beading on them. There's using metallic threads on them. There's 1/1 sometimes. So you can get an idea of all these little things, and then you can see if you like the chatelaine, working on chatelaines. I mean, doing those little flower ones got me a little bit hooked. Like, yes, I really do like this, and I want to do something bigger. So, okay. So then, aside from that, I did work on three projects this week. I worked on the Be My Own Valentine project. Obviously, I'm not going to get this done in February. Again, I was overly ambitious. So I don't know if I'll work on it in March, you know, just put in a few stitches here and there, or if, you know, I'll pull it out when it fits a theme and have, you know, it definitely will be done before the end of the year. It'll probably be done in the next month or so, but, you know, it isn't done yet. So this was the chart by Little House Needleworks B Sampler, and then I recharted the words. And this is where I'm at. And so the bottom flower down here, under the words, it was like flower and then bee. But I switched them because of the my, because the bee was going to run into that letter. So I just switched them. And I've run out of this color of floss, so I'm going to have to change things a little bit, but that's fine. So that is where I am on this one. And then when I get it done, hopefully it will spur me to take a leaf out of Laura's Stitching by the Shores book and start putting together a sort of stitchy scrapbook journal thing. And finish, you know, put some finishes, do some finishes that way. I love hers. It's just such a good idea too. Like if you don't have a lot of room or you don't want to hang a bunch of stuff or make a bunch of pillows, you know, it's just another way to have things, and they're not necessarily on display, but they're finished so that you can actually look through them or show them to people, you know. So it's I think it's a nice way to do things. And I do have, you know, plans to do that, like the 1,001 other plans I have. Okay, so I also worked a little bit on my mini flower kitty this week by Jeremiah Kentner. I thoroughly enjoy working on this pattern, and I'm enjoying seeing it grow. So, you know, I did another, I think that's 200 stitches. Started another diagonal. This is just so pretty. I mean, sometimes it amazes me, you know, like using floss, using, you know, that, you know, I know that there's a floss that isn't made anymore, that the lady who did Lavender and Lace, and she created her own floss line called Needle Paints, and it's so true. It's like painting with thread. It's really, really amazing sometimes. And I love it when working on a project makes me feel like that, because the whole artistic creative thing that was missing for me, or that I've always needed, and I think that's one reason why cross stitch and counting canvas and everything has become such a big part of my life, is because that was something that I always was searching for, different ways to do that, and it really does fulfill it so well. And I really feel like I'm being artistic and creative with what I do. Okay, and then the last one I worked on, I know I didn't work on very much, but was my Riolis, my current Riolis kit, which is Forget-Me-Nots. And oops, I always have threads hanging everywhere. And yeah, I'm kind of doing the back stitching, you want to call it, or the straight stitching as I go, because I like that it makes it come to life as I go along. This one is actually moving pretty fast. It's a much smaller chart than Sweet William was, because I've got like about that much of it done already. So yeah, now obviously it's not going to be on the top of the radar next month, but I mean, it will come out again. I have, I think, a couple more month themes that it will fit into this year, but I really think that it's going to be, if it doesn't get worked on in a specific theme month, it will definitely be in the focus on the finish at the end of the year, because I definitely could get that done. Okay, so that was all of my actual stitching for this week, which, I mean, I didn't stitch yesterday after I got back from lunch. Again, I was cold, I was snuggled up with Baggy, and I just didn't feel like stitching. But what I did feel like doing was kitting, so I kitted up, and I realized I have this bag, and this is what it should go in, so I'm going to have to switch what's in this bag to this bag. But I kitted up my mini new solar system from Artisy that I am not going to actually be stitching on this until starting in April. I really kind of want to start it, but I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait until April. This is something I'm going to be stitching on for Hudson, just because I think that he would like to have it. I mean, he's not going to have it for years, right? He's 8 now, and as I said, maybe for his 18th birthday he'll get it. But I just like it, and I think it, you know, I think it's gonna be fun to stitch on, and it's not exactly necessarily my style, but but I will enjoy stitching it and knowing that at the end it'll go to somebody who I think will like it. I picked a piece of fabric for it. It's full coverage, so it doesn't really matter. But sometimes with full coverage, you want, at least in my opinion, because I don't necessarily stitch, you know, super, super thick floss. I don't worry so much about coverage. But with full coverage, you also have to keep in mind that if you aren't doing the floss so thick that, you know, you're not going to see any fabric, if you do have a little bit of fabric, it's going to give you that color kind of shining through. And since this is dark, I wanted something, you know, I don't want white. So I went through what I had. I picked up this piece of terracotta because there's so much like in the, with the sun and everything, I just think that it's going to work to kind of blend, you know, I don't know, blend the, I don't know if blend is the right word. Anyway, I thought it would be a good piece of fabric. It's the right size. It's actually not something that I would probably stitch something else on because it's not necessarily my favorite color. I mean, it'll be fine to stitch a full coverage on, but it's a Jobelan. And yeah, because I've been stitching my full coverages on 28 count, 2/110. And I think that's going to work. So I kitted that up. Typically, right, you get, I kitted up with the flosses that I have in my stash, and then I ordered the ones that were needed. And I got through everything, and I was still missing one, and which just irked me. And I looked online, and I'm like, you know, I don't want to put in another order at 123 Stitch for one stupid skein of floss. And I looked on Amazon, but it was like $5.50 for one skein of floss, and I just couldn't. I was gonna because of the convenience, and I'm like, but it's a 60-cent skein of floss. I can't pay $5.50 for a 60-cent skein of floss. So I just made the executive decision, and I had the floss color that was one color under it, and I changed it to that. And I think that in a full coverage, it's not gonna matter that my brown is maybe one tiny shade lower. So anyway, so I kitted this yesterday, so it will wait until April for me to start it. So I'm looking forward to starting that though, but I do need to change it into this bag because of course it needs to be in this bag and not this bag. So that needs to be done today to change that. Okay. And then I also kitted up the Sweet Pea Fairy, which I'll show you in a minute, which goes with my plans. But usually before that, I show you guys haul. So again, I got a big bag of floss and some beads and like Cranix for 4 projects actually. And I got this, which, as I said, when I saw this, it made me go, oh, I need that. So I'm trying really hard. I do not need a single new chart. I have stuff to stitch for probably the next 20 years. So I'm trying really hard to, if I see something that I like, to write it down, to put it in my brain, to whatever, and then go away from it. And if I still cannot get it out of my head, then I will get it. But I'm trying to really not be impulsive. So like I did that with the Let Sleeping Dragons Lie. I did that with this. You know, the Bella Filipinas and Mirabilias and Nora Corbett's, they come out, you know, a new one almost once a month, right? You know, and I see them and they're all pretty, but they don't all make me go, oh my God, I really need to have that one. And this one did. So I went ahead and got it. I'm not planning on probably even starting it this year. I have so many others that I want to get finished first and then start. So anyway, but she is just, the colors, I mean, his faces I love, and I just think that is so pretty. So yeah, I'm really happy to have this. And I do have like the flosses and stuff for it, but I don't really have any plans on stitching her anytime soon. Maybe for the end of the year I'll start her, but right now I don't think so. And then this is all the leftover floss that has to be put away now. Okay, so that was basically the haul. Okay, so plans going into March. My March theme is going to be fancy folk, and I realized 10 projects. So again, it may be way overly ambitious. I have one real focus on a finish, and then the other ones, we'll see if we can get some progress on them. So I thought I'd show you all of them so you can kind of see the before. And I guess today I will be doing my Instagram, you know, ending out February and starting March, which I realize, you know, I'm doing that not on the first day of the month. But it's because it takes me a while to do it. So I put the thing together and it's Sunday, I'm going to do it. I'm not going to wait till Wednesday. Okay, so I will be working on my Autumn Equinox Pixie, which she was on the list this month, and she got some stitching on her. And that's where she is. So she's got a bit of a ways to go. I mean, I have to finish her upper, her wing area up here, and then obviously her skirt and legs and everything. So she's so pretty. So again, it's like until I get some, I have 3 Bella Filipinas, and one of them is not going to be worked on in March because she's a mermaid and I tend to do mermaids in the summer. But I want to get the Bella Filipinas that I have going done before I start another Bella Filipina. Okay. Then, well, while we're on the Bella Filipinas, I have Bellatrix. She's my first Bella Filipina. And I love her, love her, love her. She, in my head, is the way my character, my D&D character, would look. My D&D character's name is Morgan. So that is where I am with her. So obviously I have the whole frame to do, the rest of her giant skirt and the whole book stand and cat and everything. But again, his faces are just so beautiful. I haven't worked on her in so long because you know, she didn't fit. Well, I knew I didn't have any hope of getting close to finishing her, so I didn't put her in the you know, push to the finish group. So she hasn't been worked on since like October, I think. So I'm actually looking forward to working on her again. Okay, this is a potential new start, but I still haven't decided if I'm going to start her. That would be 2 new starts for the month, and I don't know. I'm for sure going to start Sweet Pea Fairy, but I have had Florentina kitted up for like a year, and so maybe I'll start her. I don't know. I chose this fabric to do her on, which I think is going to be interesting and pretty. And she's actually doesn't have any sparkly in her. I pulled some because, oh no, she has some cry neck. She has a lot of silk in her. But these are her colors. Oops. So again, I don't know if I'm going to start her or not, but she's kitted up. So I could easily start her. But I guess it'll come down to, do I want to have another whip on the whip list? Or do I want to not have another whip? Okay. Oh, this is, oops, that is not the picture. This is Ella, the Frog Princess. Was she my first Mirabilia? I think she was my first Mirabilia. She's the first one I've tried to do 1/1 skin, and I do love the way it looks. Don't 100% enjoy doing it, but on my next one, which I think is going to be Sweet Pea Fairy, that I do the lower count or higher count skin, I'm going to do it tent and see, instead of 1/1, I'm going to do 2/1 tent and see how that looks. So this is where I am on her. I wish I had made a better fabric choice for her. This fabric is a little weird, and the fabric has, now, and I didn't find out about this till recently, that apparently hand-dyed fabric, when it's folded up, the color can migrate like away from the fold or something, which is why you'll sometimes get these like lines. And I got this piece from eBay, so it was very inexpensive, and I just thought the green worked really well. And I think it's gonna be fine when she's done and I have her framed, or however I finish her. I think it's gonna be fine. But the fabric does have kind of like these weird lines that will be covered by the stitching. But overall, I really like her. The thing that was, and I've said this before, the thing that was not maybe the wisest of me to do is, although I love her, I don't really love the colors. I like the way it looks, but working with these sort of creams and yellows and stuff is not my favorite stuff to work with. I live for getting to the flowers. After I started her, I saw a conversion that somebody did with her in purple. Oh, so pretty. But you know what? It doesn't matter. The stitching on this is kind of like big blocks. It goes fast. The 1/1 skin does not go fast, but it looks really nice. So I would like to make some decent progress on her this month. Doesn't this look great with that? So yeah, so that is Ella. I think if we're talking about fairy tales, the Frog Princess, not the Frog Princess, yes, the Frog Prince and the Princess and the Pea, I think are two of my favorite fairy tales from childhood. And then Rapunzel, like when we're talking like Disney movies, I love Tangled. I think that's one of my favorites, which is Rapunzel. Okay, this is a Dimensions kit called Wind Moon Fairy. And I think, is this my first Dimensions gold kit? I think so. I know a lot of people, well, not a lot of people, I've seen a couple people who have stitched this or are stitching this, but they chose like an over-dyed model of fabric and then are only stitching the fairy and the moon. But I'm doing it as called for, on the called for fabric. And all the blues and stuff are very calming, I think, in this. Not that far, but... And I did have a big debate with myself over how to do this back stitching on the wings, because I did it, pulled it out, did it, pulled it out. I finally decided that couching it was the best way to do it to get a look that I liked. And a lot of the background, because again, it's Dimensions, is is using multiple strands 10 stitch, and I like doing that because it goes fast. But I'm not really into the fairy yet, so I need to work on that and get into the fairy. Okay, what's this one? Bianca Bella. I started this last year, so I don't have very much done. So it's obviously Bianca Bella is a version of Snow White. I really love the colors in this. Snow White has always kind of made me think of my mom, and I'll have to see if I can find the high school picture that really makes this remind me of my mom. I have a picture of my mom, her high school picture, and then it was colorized. My dad was he wasn't a professional photographer, he was an amateur photographer, but he was professional level. He taught it in the college and the high school. He had his own dark room before I was born. So back in the late 60s, early 70s, it was a thing to colorize or to color black and white photos. So it's a special color. He showed me how to do it at one point. It's like this kind of sheer wash kind of thing that you actually paint onto the black and white photo, the completed photo. So it's not done like to the negative or anything. And I have a picture of my mom that was done. I don't know if my dad did it or if it was done like professionally, because that was a thing that people did. And it was her high school picture, and she has the dark hair and the red lips, and she's wearing sort of this aqua top, and it just really makes me think of, or this makes me think of that picture of her. So I chose a really pretty purple hand-dyed by Rolanda fabric, and so far it's like the parts that I'm stitching, some of it's getting lost because of fabric, but I don't think it's going to be an issue when I get more stitching in. So this is basically just a bit of skirt, and I'm not even sure which side is up. Maybe this side? I don't know. But anyway, I think it's going to be really pretty when it goes further. Right now, it kind of just doesn't look like anything, and the fabric is taking center stage, but I think that that's going to change. Okay. This is my focus on a finish for March, so I'm really hoping I can get this done. I'm working on Gigi, one of the Bewitching Pixies, and I think that I can probably get this done in March because she's pretty close. I'm doing this on a Fabric Flare printed backgrounds fabric, which I am just loving that concept. I showed you earlier Eva on a printed backgrounds fabric, and it turned out great, and I think this one is looking pretty cool as well. And I think that that is one reason why I think it would be good to do sort of the hanging thing, because I don't want to lose any of the background. It kind of makes it. So anyway, I have left to do the broom and then the rest of her gown. And yeah, so there's not that much left to do on her, and of course all the beading. So yeah, so she will be a focus on the finish in March. Okay, I just added this today because I realized fancy folk, you know, what's fancier than a fairy and her pet dragon? And so I'm going to add that one. is called Let Sleeping Dragons Lie by Amy Brown and charted by Unconventional. Yeah, Unconventional Cross Stitch. And I dyed this fabric myself. I think it came out really pretty. I wanted, because there's so many purples and blues and magenta kind of colors, I wanted something that was kind of opposite on the spectrum. So I kind of made it into like a sunsetty or sunrisey sort of look. Oh my goodness, my needle minders are trying to. And so anyway, here's the fabric. Here's my giant piece of fabric that I dyed. I think it came out really pretty. And then, of course, here is my little bit of a start. Well, it's not actually that little of a bit, but there's my start, my little green corner. So I'm starting in this corner, moving up that way, which I've never done before. I've started in this corner and moved up, but I wanted to start here because I just thought I would get into interesting stuff faster. And obviously I didn't want to start at the top because this is a no background pattern and that doesn't work for the way I stitch. So yeah, so it's kind of trying something new. And I know that this project is going to take forever, probably the rest of my life, whatever, but that's okay. Hopefully I'll get into some exciting stuff sooner rather than later. Okay, then we've got the other full coverage that I'm going to be working on this month, which is Pinky and Blue Boy, charted by Artisy. So Pinky is artwork by Sir Thomas Lawrence and Blue Boy by Thomas Gainsborough. I've loved these paintings. I mean, they've been part of my life, my whole life. So when I saw that they were available, I was really excited. I'm stitching them on the same piece of fabric, and I'm stitching them kind of simultaneously so that they grow at the same rate, and then, you know, then they'll be cut apart and framed, but still hung together because they always are. So this is Pinky so far, and Blue Boy. I'm just in the backgrounds. But they're actually going to be pretty, they're only going to be like 5 inches, 5 by 7 or something. They're going to be pretty small when they're done. And I am noticing I really kind of like the Artisy charts because they're big. So that means you have a lot more pages, right? But you go through them pretty fast. And they're big charts. And I like stitching full coverage from paper. I fold it up into the part that I'm working on, and I clip it to my hoop. You guys can see that, you know, because I'm taking everything out of project bags, I stitch in hoops, and I don't, for the most part, I don't leave them. I don't leave stuff on the hoop, which helps with, you know, hoop marks that won't come out and things like that. But also just for ease of storing things. But I don't store things on the hoop, and so when I put it in the hoop each time to work on it, I, you know, crawl my fabric however I'm going to crawl it. And then I put, usually the magnet, the silicone magnet things, like these. If they're too long, I tie a knot in them. And then I always have like a needle minder that then I will put on top of it, and I magnetize my chart to the edge of my hoop, and then that's how I work on it. So it's right there in front of me. And then last but not least, I'm definitely going to start this one. This is Sweet Pea Fairy by Joan Elliott. I have never worked on a Joan Elliott, so I became mildly obsessed with Joan Elliott patterns recently and found several that I really liked. This is one of them. And I picked the fabric for her last week, which is one of my prettiest ones that I have. This is a hand dyed by Rolanda Lugana in, it's a 32 count. And look at this fabric. Oh, so pretty. So yeah, I think that's gonna look really good with her. Now, the fabric is a little bit wider than I need, so I have to figure out what part do I want to keep, like this green corner, which I think I do. This corner is not as exciting, so I'll probably, I'm not going to cut it now, but I mean, it's probably going to be more like this. So I just think that this fabric is going to look really pretty with her and all of her springy, summery sort of colors. Yeah. These are the kinds. So, yeah. And I think, as I said, I'm going to do her skin 2/1/10 stitch and see how that looks. That is all of them. Yes, 10 projects. So we'll see. We'll see how far I get. I definitely want to touch everything at least once. Other than that, who knows? So, and I do want to try and get Gigi done. So we'll see if I can accomplish that in March. Overall, February, I think I'm happy with what I got accomplished. And, you know, I'm thinking like if these themes work out, because the projects are the same projects, right? So if the themes work out, then I'll probably have the same themes next year. And, you know, we'll take it from there. So, okay, next thing, last thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about was the magazine pages that giveaway. And I said I was going to do it for 2 weeks, but I'll be honest with you guys, there was not a lot of response to these, like 1 or 2 for each one. So I don't think that going for another week is gonna, you know, if there's not that much enthusiasm about these pages, then I might as well just give them to the one person who wanted them. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. 2 of them actually are gonna go to my friend Dawn. She, you know, she is getting the Christmas one and the summer, which is this one. Has some cute bee patterns. So Dawn, you can stitch the Be My Own Valentine with me next year. Excuse me. So those 2 are going to go to Dawn. Dawn, I already have your address, so I can send those out this week to you. And then the other 2, the sort of, I don't want to show the sort of patriotic several charts is going to go to Debbie K, and then the ocean charts, which are not just ocean but sort of outdoorsy type stuff, are going to go to Connie K. So Debbie and Connie, you need to message me on Instagram. You can also send me an email, but I'll be honest with you, if you send me an email, it may get lost. If you message me on Instagram, which is Karla with a K, I will definitely see it. And just send me your addresses, and I'm going to stick these in an envelope to you. So, yeah, as I said, there wasn't a lot of interest in these, which, I mean, it's fine. I understand, like, not everybody wants to get magazine pages, and that's fine. I'm going to keep doing them when I have magazine pages to give you guys. But you know, if you don't want it, that's fine. Anyway, so Connie and Debbie, please message me on Instagram so I can put those in a envelope to you, and I will send those out. I think that's it. I've been talking for an hour, and I had barely any stitching this week, so anyway, I hope that you guys have a wonderful week. Oh, it's starting to the sun's starting to go away. I wonder if we're gonna get rain this afternoon, even though they said no. My hands are like frozen. Yeah, it's cold in here. You know, one of the things about not living someplace where it gets really cold is when it is cold, we're not necessarily prepared for it. I do have a heater. I've never turned it on. I don't like canned heat. And I've never really lived in a place where it was so cold that we had to have it or freeze. So I'm making do with blankets and hot tea and a cat. Cat is a very good source of heat. Just FYI. So anyway, I think that's it. And I hope that you guys have a wonderful week coming up. Wonderful stitching, wonderful friends, you know, all of the good stuff. And until I see you again, please remember to be content, be kind, and be crafty. This is Karla. Bye-bye.